Good news for the Colts. They're going for 5 in a row in the month of November. For the Browns, they want to win at home. They have only one victory in 6 games here at Cleveland Stadium. Today's game to be brought to you in high definition by Sony. High definition, it's in Sony's DNA. Not a lot of barking in the dog pound. We'll see if that picks up as the Browns host the Colts. And we're ready here in Cleveland. The weather, as you can see, rain and then some snow mixed in. We could have heavier snow later. Gusting winds, tough conditions to play today, but it could favor the home team that wants to run the ball against a lighter defense, the Colts. Romeo Crennel under fire. Some have him already out of that head coaching position at the end of this season with that 24-35 record in his 4 years. And Tony Dungy, the stability of the Colts organization, it's personified by Dungy himself. 7 years, look at that, 134-69 and a Super Bowl win. Colts won the toss, elected to receive. Phil Dawson kicks it off for Cleveland, and rookie Chad Simpson deep in the end zone for the white jersey Colts, and he'll take it from 3 yards deep. Simpson from Morgan State sees a crease, and he's out across the 30 to the 34-yard line. From the 33, Joseph Adai, the setback. And it's Adai sweeping right. Gets across the 35, fumbles the ball, picked up by the Browns right. Eric Wright has it, still on his feet at the 50, now looks for blocks. Can he pick up one more? That's Manning over there to stop him. And Manning slows him down, and he takes a pop himself as the Browns on the opening play pick up a fumble. Indianapolis had lost only one fumble all season. That's right, only once, and that was back in game 1. And on the first play today, Eric Wright picks up the loose ball fumbled by Adai.
And big Sean Smith comes in, pulls that ball out. And then it's free. And, you look at the Indianapolis Colts, Gene Huey, their running back coach, spends time after time after time. There's a reason Adai and the Colts don't fumble the ball much. They are drilled like crazy about it.
So that is a remarkable start in many ways. Adai, so reliable, hadn't fumbled in over 2 seasons. First down at the Indianapolis 47. And it's Jamal Lewis, has a hole and pounds down to the 41. A gain of 6 yards. Rushes 20 times or more in a game. Cleveland is 11-1, and he gets the first 2 carries. Fights his way through tackles, and he's right at the yellow line. On 3rd and short, they wedge it forward, and Anderson has the first down just shy of the 35-yard line.
If Romeo Crennel drew up a scenario during the week of how does my football team really have the best chance to win, it'd have to be we get off to a good start, we get a turnover, and we control the line of scrimmage. So far it's check, check, and check. Now remains to be seen when Derek Anderson throws the ball, will the receivers for Cleveland actually catch it?
That has been a problem, particularly their star receiver, Braylon Edwards, with 18 drops this year, most in the league. They stay on the ground, and it's working. Pounding to the 29 goes Lewis for almost 7 more. Kelvin Hayden, the corner, comes over to make the hit.
As you watch this game today, especially for the Cleveland Browns, watch the inside 3, this triangle in the middle. They will create the best space. Fraley, Steinbach. On the backside, you've got Rex Hadnot. That's a really nice soft spot in the middle of the defense. It's all because of the guard and center.
4 straight runs, 3 by Lewis. 2nd and 4, right back to Jamal Lewis. And he runs into plenty of white jersey resistance there, and a short gain of a couple will bring up 3rd down and 2.
And not like this is a news flash. I mean, anyone that plays the Indianapolis Colts, Dick, they want to control the ball. They want to hold on to the ball, using the common sense approach that the more time I have it, the less time Peyton has it in his hands, because he does use up so much time on the clock when he gets in the game. You've got to control the line of scrimmage to make it happen.
Now, last Norv Turner and the Chargers last week gave Manning too much time at the end of the game. This is Wright, the speedier back, and he slashes to the 22 on a first down. His first carry, Jason Wright in his 4th year out of Northwestern. Brady Quinn, who had taken over from Anderson as the starter, played in a couple of games and fractured his throwing index finger in the Buffalo win, and tried to play last week and finally was yanked in the Houston 16-6 win here, and now placed on injured reserve. So it's Anderson's team the last 5 games of the season. Yet to throw a pass right back to Jamal Lewis, and he fights his way just inside the 20 into the arms of Gary Brackett.
Very important, too, for the Cleveland Browns to remember something that's you settle sometimes for field goals. When you play the Indianapolis Colts, when you're looking at this kind of a game, this has to be the situation where you score touchdowns. You make them. Romeo Crennel's team has to challenge Tony Dungy's team to keep up with them, not constantly be chasing the Colts.
Second and a short 8. The Browns, when they fall behind, have had ill fortune. 0-6 when they see the opponents score first. They're trying to turn that around today, but no gain by Lewis as Keontae Dawson, that very light 250-pound defensive tackle from Texas Tech, makes the play.
Well, Dick, it took about 30 yards, but we have a obvious passing situation. 3rd and long. That means it plays into the Indianapolis strength. Tony Dungy loves a quick, athletic, fast football team. Watch this defensive line. They are all of that and more.
Winslow, the tight end, is slotted far right. Actually, he's the far right, now comes in motion with Stallworth in the slot. And on 3rd and 8, Anderson's first throw is underneath, complete to Wright, but it's well short of the first down. Jason Wright pushed out of bounds by Kelvin Hayden, and the field goal unit will come on for Cleveland.
And keep an eye as this game goes on, too, Dick, on how the tackling goes for both these teams, because you've got the best tackling defense, in my opinion, in the NFL, in the Indianapolis Colts. They may be fast, they may be small, all those things. They are very sure tacklers.
Romeo Crennel sends out the veteran Phil Dawson, who has connected on a field goal in 11 straight games. That is a personal record, but that is not necessarily a positive Cleveland statistic. And there was a rumble of boos when Cleveland failed to make the 3rd down. 35-yard attempt, and it is good. Cleveland gains 3 off the Adai fumble. Colts will have it when we come back. That hot seat, the heated bench in operation on this day that'll send the temperature down into the low 30s. Eric Wright, who recovered the fumble and set up the 30 yards in 10 plays and the 34-yard field goal by Phil Dawson. 9 to go in the opening quarter. Chad Simpson and Pierre Garçon are deep. Simpson, well, the wind carried that 4 yards deep, takes it out. Has been pinned on the sideline, but he gets it across the 20 to the 23-yard line. And Josh Cribbs, how about that? Cribbs, who is by far and away the best tackler on special teams, gets one early. Late arriving fans in this inclement last of November day. They missed the Browns' 34-yard field goal, 3-0 lead here in the opening quarter. Manning sets up shop at the 23. A fake to Adai. Manning on the roll, throws to the sideline, complete to Marvin Harrison, and Harrison comes down on the tiptoe at 15 on that first catch. He has 15 receptions the last 2 games, Harrison. Adai really hugging that football. Will be matched up against Reggie Wayne, who leads the Colts in receptions most of today. Says Sean. No, that's big 99 Corey Williams, who jumps into the offensive line and picks up 5 yards.
Second down.
Cleveland's lining up very base, very vanilla, trying to make Peyton Manning sort of guess what they're going to do. Very first play, they brought Adams, the safety, off the slot, who was on Gonzalez, Dick. And Peyton Manning just has that eerie kind of sixth sense. He stood there for 2 seconds, rolled a little to his right, and drilled that ball to Harrison.
Manning, who had knee surgery and then an infection, a bursa sac, And was slow starting this year. He hit it very well, but certainly was not himself. He is now. Here's a die with blockers in front to the 50 and into Cleveland territory at the 49 with a first down. Okay, Randy, what kind of crosstalk do we have on this holiday weekend?
Well, gobbly, gobbly, gobbly. Isn't that cute?
Yeah.
But last week, Peyton Manning showed the rest of this league what they have to look forward to for the next 5 games and maybe the next 4 games after that if they keep on this roll. This was the game-winning drive against San Diego, and he just moved the ball at will, and Vinatieri kicked the kick to beat him.
What a combination. You get down to the final seconds and you've got that ace in the hole, and Vinatieri is such a money kicker. Plenty of time to the sidelines. Complete first down to Reggie Wayne. And there's McDonald playing loose on the coverage, and Wayne will gladly accept about 14 on the catch.
Well, if you're not going to pressure Peyton Manning, he'll sit back and he'll do what he does every single game now that he's back to his regular routine. This is about the 3rd or 4th time he's thrown that pass to Reggie Wayne. I know it's the first time in the game, but he threw it 3 times in warm-ups, getting ready for the game.
Trailing 3-0, the Colts down to the 35 of Cleveland. Manning either with a bluff call on the audible or changing the play, gives to a die on that stretch handoff. Breaks a tackle inside the 30 to the 26-yard line. A die running right through the hit of Brandon McDonald.
You know, Dick, you talk about the fake call. Sometimes, well, most of the times it means something. But when he sees this, he sees 4 deep. That means you're going to have the rest of this defense in the box. That means 7 in the box. He will check almost every time to a running play. When he sees the 2 deep shell, 7 in the box, I don't care if his line isn't that big. They're hard to stop. They run the ball so efficiently.
And a die making amends for that fumble. Ran that play with anger, and McDonald took the brunt of that attempted tackle.
The 2 shell look again.
Just does beat the clock. Gives to a die, and die to the 23-yard line, a gain of a couple. Sean Jones comes up from safety for the tackle.
And it's what makes, I think, playing the Colts so hard, besides the obvious that Peyton Manning is so good.
Look at this quick huddle. No huddle.
If he's going to run it. He makes you substitute. And Romeo Cornell said he'll only substitute 1 guy at a time because of the pace that Peyton runs that offense.
See, he still has 15 seconds on the play clock. So he was trying to catch the Browns.
Do you see that signal?
Without a defensive set as they made a substitution, and now he takes his time, runs it down to almost 0. Dumps underneath to a die, and a die to the 17-yard line where it'll be 3rd and 3. DeQuell Jackson with a tackle. Dallas Clark, the tight end for the Colts. A lot of people, his friends included, say, what's all that signaling and audibilizing? Is it fake or real?
Well, it means something to every one of those guys on the field. That's how they communicate. That's how they call plays. It's their own little secret code.
3rd and 3. You saw the Browns creeping up as if they're going to come with a blitz. The quick throw is complete, and it's Marvin Harrison. Perfect throw down low. Harrison able to cradle it and avoid any possible hit from that blind side, and it's a first down.
And the problem you have when you play this offense is, do I disguise my coverages? Do I disguise my defenses? Well, if that's not what you normally do, then you spend a week preparing, doing something you're not used to try to stop an offense that gets out of bed in the hurry-up offense.
In the red zone, they're the best in the league with 23 touchdowns and 32 chances. Dump it out into the flat to Dominic Rhodes. Rhodes to change the pace back down to the 9. Again, it's Jackson, the leading Browns tackler, with another hit.
Well, what DeQuell Jackson just did on that play is a textbook inside linebacker closing on the running back, because initially Rhodes probably thought he could do a little business. DeQuell closed at such a pace from the inside and emphatically laid down the smack.
Long drive for the Colts. 32 trips to the red zone. They've been shut out only twice. 2nd and 1 for Peyton Manning. So he sets his line, sees if the defense gets itchy, make the defense commit. He pushes Rhodes back into position and gets the snap. That is different kind of communication. Bumped out of bounds is Rhodes at the 7. Eric Wright and Rodney Poole collaborating on the tackle. It's third down.
Well, unlike the running back, Peyton Manning's looking at the play clock. That play clock was down to about 3 when Rhodes came up to ask him a question. Get back there. I got 3 seconds to snap the ball. I'm trying to run the offense here.
There's the muddle huddle. And with plenty of time, he can search over the defense on third down and 6.
Got the group right here. The bunch, top of the screen. Watch for the pick.
It worked against San Diego last week, didn't it? Oh, and back was Rodgers. And then, much delayed. So the offensive tackle, Ryan Deem, seeing Rodgers jump in the neutral zone, then he jumped as if drawn offside by the defense, but it was such a delay that it's Deem, and the Colts will get the penalty.
The big Sean Rodgers reacts, and then Deem moves. That's a problem, too, when you're going with Peyton Manning in this offense, your defensive lineman. I know you're trained to watch the ball. Defensive line coaches go crazy saying, watch the ball, watch the ball. He gets up there, he makes that emphatic, hut! He hard, hut, you're going to move, I don't care. But Sean Rodgers got back.
12 yards from a touchdown, 11 yards for a first down on third down. The throw to the end zone, touchdown, Reggie. No, he didn't hold on. And it's called incomplete as Mike Adams picks up the ball. Wayne had it. And Brandon McDonald, to his credit, somehow able to reach in there and tear it away.
Part of it is style. Part of it is panic. I'm not giving up a touchdown. I'm ripping the arm. And Brandon McDonald takes that right arm of Wayne and rips it away, and free comes the ball. See, Wayne's got the ball. There goes the arm. There goes the ball.
Yeah, those cornerbacks so exposed, and when they make a play like that, save 6 points. Credit to McDonald. Vinatieri to tie it on a short 30-yarder. No doubt about that kick. 3-3 the score here in Cleveland. Manning wanted so much more. Vinatieri, after his 30-yard field goal, kicking it off to Josh Cribbs. Cribbs with 5. Whoa, what's this? Is that a live ball?
No, they blew it dead.
Just as Vinatieri approached, that gust of wind knocked it off the tee. Does he touch the ball?
If it's hit,
it's a no. He didn't. He wisely alludes. So back to Cribbs at the other end. Josh, who is a factor both returning kicks and covering kicks, certainly has to make the Pro Bowl in his credentials this year. 92-yard kickoff return against Baltimore earlier gives him 5 in his brief career.
Best all-around special teams player in the NFL. Only appropriate we do a game like this was Steve Tasker got to the final 25 for the Hall of Fame. He should be the first special teams Hall of Famer.
This is Cribbs. He's the Tasker of the Browns. Takes it right up the middle to the 25-yard line and smothered there. Led by Taiwan Hagler, the Colts linebacker. We're tied late in the opening quarter. Hey, Bill Cowher! And welcome back as Peyton Manning and Coach Howard Mudd go over those Polaroid shots of the Browns defense scheming for their next possession. Indianapolis settling for the 30-yard field goal. It's tied at 3 in the final minute of this opening quarter. That's fullback Lawrence Vickers getting a rare catch, his 8th of the season for short yardage, and bracket there to make the tackle with Clint Session.
Now it's 2nd and long, and that means Freeney and Mathis coming after Anderson.
Draw play and big hole for Lewis. And he's all the way to the 44 and a first down before Antoine Bethea can make the stop.
Really nice job of taking advantage of movement up front by the defensive line. Watch the linebackers and defensive line void the middle. They put in their run defense. Well, we'll run. We'll pass. They put in their pass rushers. We'll go ahead with a running play. Good mixing and matching so far by Chudzinski, the offensive coordinator of the Cleveland Browns.
9-year veteran from Tennessee, Jamal Lewis, now with 34 yards in this opening quarter. 15 on that last run. Right back to Lewis. Oh, you can hear the collision. He takes it to those defensive backs. Antoine Bethea gets him down at the 48.
You know, Jamal Lewis has been very vocal about what he thought about the play calling. saying, you know, we've got to run the ball, give me the ball. And anytime you hear that out of a player, I don't care what team it is, it's rarely a good thing. But that's really something going into this game. These conditions, this particular opponent, you had better be able to run it. And they're using the heck out of Jamal.
And that's the end of the opening quarter here in Cleveland with the score, the Browns 3 and the Colts 3. We'll return to Cleveland after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Randy Ross, Cross, can I show you something in a size 13 pump alligator?
Remember the sideline? You used to see guys changing cleats. You see trays and trays of cleats. They cut out the middleman. You know, Peyton and company, they just bring new shoes. A lot easier to change shoes than it is cleats.
And they may be under good use by the time this afternoon is over. Kellen Winslow has his first catch. Stopped shy of the first down by a yard by Tim Jennings at the corner.
And the reason you have those shoes and you have the cleat change, you're in a weird surface. Remember, they play on an artificial surface in Indianapolis. You know, they go down to Jacksonville in their own division, or Tennessee, beautiful, lovely grass field. They go to Houston, grass field, kind of indoors. This is an outdoors, Ohio, different kind of surface, a little softer, so you have to experiment.
3rd and 1, and Lewis finds a small hole and able to drive his way through it for a first down. First down for Cleveland at the 46 of Indianapolis. We're early in the second quarter, and Lewis goes down quickly on a low hit. After a gain of a couple, it was Freddie Keaho, the third-year backer from San Diego State.
Well, that's the thing about going against these Indianapolis Colts. You know, if you're a running back, you see Gary Brackett down on the ground and hurt, you expect to be tackled high a lot by NFL defenses. This defense tackles you from the waist to the knees, and they go hard.
That injury could be critical.
You know, Gary Brackett got caught up in the pile there, Dick, and they're taking their time with him, and they're bringing the cart out. They're going to try to get him over here to the cart, and he got his leg caught as that pile started falling. And a lot of pressures and twisting and turning, and that's tough. That is a huge, you mentioned on the way to commercial how big that is. Gary Brackett, Bob Sanders and Gary Brackett were kind of the heart and soul and dual brain of that defense for a long time, and it's bad enough not having Sanders, but not having a guy like Brackett who's, you know, it's an insult to call a guy an overachiever, but he certainly achieved much more than people ever gave him the possibilities.
It goes with what Tony Dungy said about Brackett and so many on this team, that when you look at their height and their weight and their foot speed, they're not drafted. He went undrafted. In fact, he attended Rutgers as a walk-on, wasn't given a scholarship until his junior year. Then he's undrafted in the pros. And Tony Dungy said, from Chuck Noll and Bill Walsh, I learned, turn on the tape machine and see if they can play. I don't want to know their stats and physical attributes. If they show that they can play, I want them on my team. And there's a classic example, Gary Brackett.
Hey, here's what happened, Dick. We'll take a look at this pit angle. There's Brackett right here at middle linebacker. Watch when he gets to the pile, his right leg. He'll get in here, the right leg will go under and then around, and then it gets trapped.
Meanwhile, the Browns with the ball, and the handoff is to Jerome Harrison. He's down to the 40-yard line. That on second down, so it'll bring up 3rd and 4 for Cleveland in this 3-3 tie.
Man, this is what you do. You get a player like Gary Brackett. Here's a leg caught in the pile right there, and something's got to give, and it's usually not the pile. And what Cleveland does right away with a new middle linebacker and a lighter defense in general, they come right back out and keep banging the ball. Taiwan Hagler, who came in for Brackett, comes off limping.
Freddie Keaho has moved to middle linebacker, and Hagler replacing Keaho on the outside, but he limps off. 3rd down and 4 for Anderson. Underneath, complete to Winslow. That'll be enough for a first down. They needed 4, they got 5. Winslow's second catch today, his 42nd of the season. That leads Cleveland. Keaho, the tackler.
Pretty consistently, they've brought different defensive linemen in. Now they bring in different linebackers here on a first down. Clint Session comes on the field, and 51 Sen comes into defense for the first time.
Sen is a free agent from Portland State. Harrison.
That's not big guy.
And turn the corner as Antoine Bethea up from a safety spot to make the tackle.
Big difference in this defense was expected when Bob Sanders went out, but I think between Bethea and Bullitt, they have really picked up the slack for that missing ingredient in the defense of the Indianapolis Colts. They're both excellent tacklers. You know, we come into the game with no Bob Sanders, no Jeff Saturday, injured against Jamal Williams of San Diego last week, the big load, and going at center is Richard for the Colts.
Sanders regarded as maybe the best hitting safety in the league, and Saturday was the quarterback of that offensive line. Go underneath. This is Steve Heighton. Short yardage on 2nd and long. It'll bring up about 3rd and 5 as Bullitt comes up to make the hit. Melvin Bullitt from Howard University wears number 33 in tribute to his father. His dad, Jerry, who played linebacker at Texas A&M. He attended A&M. He said he had no choice. The entire family, uncles and all, have been Aggies. And he grew up wanting to be a Cowboy. He said, but man, I'm with the Colts and playing with Manning and playing on the same team as my favorite player, Bob Sanders, and now he's replacing Sanders. 3rd and 5. Anderson, quick arm to Winslow. That's going to be close, right at the line. Let's see where they spot it.
It's going to be enough for a first down. It's right on the line, Dick. It's straddling the line.
Indeed, a first down is signaled by Terry McCauley.
Nice job by Rod Chudzinski, the offensive coordinator. I mentioned early on with these points about mixing and matching, and isn't that the feel you're getting for this game so far is the mixing and matching. It was starting out predominantly run. Now they're going run and pass, especially the short pass. Won't be long now. They'll take the shot down the field. They go long. It's going to be with Braylon Edwards, 17.
6 for 6 for Anderson, averaging 4 yards a throw. Here he goes, longer, and he's got an open man, Braylon Edwards, and he hangs on to this one. 1st and goal, Cleveland. In front of Kelvin Hayden. Well, you called that one, Randy Cross.
Well, and he really does a nice job of bringing that in. It's a quick little slant. He's wide open. Not like it's hard to catch, but he's been fighting the ball lately. And your first instinct, and I heard Rich Gannon, our colleague last week saying, just don't throw the guy the ball. The problem with either don't throw him the ball or benching him, which I would initially say bench him, you don't have enough receivers on the roster to run the offense the way you want to, so you have to play it.
1st and goal at the 9. You see the Browns have not been that successful in the red zone. Only 14 to 31 touchdowns. All kinds of time for Anderson. Almost threw a pick. It was intended for Winslow, and it was Kelvin Hayden at the corner who had a better shot at it. We got a report, Randy Cross, from down at the Colts bench. The Gary Brackett injury was to the ankle, questionable if he will return. That's all the details we have at the moment. We send our best thoughts.
And we talked about the nice job that Bullitt and Bethea have done of replacing Sanders. Now let's really keep a close eye and see what kind of job Freddie Keaho and company will do making up for losing an excellent NFL linebacker like Brackett.
Under 9 minutes to go in the half. 2nd and goal. Steptoe in motion. It's Lewis. They hope to catch Indianapolis looking for the pass. The Colts were there with Clint Session at linebacker in his 2nd year from Pittsburgh with a tackle. Good, clean.
And that's Indy, Dick. Unlike any other team we do, it's something that does make them special. They are excellent tacklers, and it goes back to Tony Dungy's emphasis and Ron Meek's emphasis. Does that mean they do it more in practice? Nobody practices tackling. They just demand it. It's what's expected. They tell them how. They don't have to show them how.
This long 8-minute-plus drive reaches its 15th play. 3rd and goal at the 8. That's Winslow in the slot left. Anderson hit. Down he goes at the line of scrimmage. Robert Mathis. That'll be close to a sack depending on the mark. Mathis, who has 7 sacks and 4 forced fumbles, including that big one that helped the victory at San Diego a week ago.
There's Robert Mathis coming off from the mid. Actually lines up his defensive end right there, working against Schaefer. The right tackle, just quick and relentless. 6 foot. What do you say, Dick? About 225? They say 230 something. 225, maybe 230.
Listed at 6'2", 245. He said, well, it's more like 6 feet and maybe 230.
He's a pile of 1-2 with cleats.
25-yard field goal by Dawson. He's 2 for 2 today. 26 out of 29 on the season for the veteran Dawson, the last of the Cleveland Browns that started this expansion team 10 years ago. 6-3 Cleveland, and look at the length of that drive. 16 plays, ties the longest of the season for the Browns, and 9:24 possession time is the longest of the season, and they're keeping it away from Peyton Manning 2-1 in time of possession. A very high short end-over-end kick that goes into the wedge, taken by the tight end Jacob Tammy, and Tammy out of bounds at about the 35-yard line. 6-3 here in Cleveland. The Browns up. Cleveland leading 6-3 in a battle of field goals. Manning and the Colts start at their 33. 4 wides. Fake to a dive. Manning lots of time. Throws. Caught at the 45. A nice play by Reggie Wayne. Well, it's getting close to that holiday season, Randy. Don't tell me what you're going to get me, please. I'd love the surprise. But, you know, even if it's a small thing, put it in a big box. I like that.
It feels like it, though, doesn't it? I mean,
does.
Finally, for the first week we're out here, it's kind of cold, it's wet, and it's kind of yucky, you know, and we're watching a team like Indianapolis be challenged by patience.
Linemen like it yucky, don't they?
I like yucky. I do let yucky well. Yucky suits me.
First down, it's a die on the sweep, and McDonald comes up from his corner to help out, but it's the tackle made by Cameron Wembley.
And really, when I say patience in this game, and that's because of the approach of Romeo Crennel and his defensive coordinator Mel Tucker, they're keeping the linebackers fairly close to the line of scrimmage, all 4 of them. They're keeping the safeties deep in a 2-shell look. They're giving Peyton Manning the look of, hey, look, if you can go 14 yards, great. And out of that, they might even blitz a guy out of the slot.
Turnover was an early fumble by Joseph Adai on the first scrimmage play. Led to the Cleveland field goal. Off play action. Manning dumps it underneath, and it's complete to the fullback, Gian Robinson. Robinson's 7th catch of the entire season. Third down, crowd trying to help the defense. Manning out of the shotgun, throws underneath, complete to Dallas Clark. Clark, the tight end, all the way to the 35-yard line. First down for Indianapolis. Sean Jones, the defender.
And that's really the problem. If you're going to give them that 2 look and you're going to go man underneath, which they do, is Dallas Clark is lined up all the way on the outside in a slot position. He comes across the formation. He is so good, and he has gotten so good now in 6 years of sort of sharing a brain with Peyton. As he reads defense, now Dallas reads defense the exact same way.
Clark, more of a big slot receiver than a tight end. He says he only has to move in on the line of scrimmage and block 6-7 times a game. Adai, daylight, and down to the 20-yard line goes Joseph Adai, who is the leading rusher for the Colts on the year with 457 yards starting today.
You know, Dick, Dallas Clark says he only does it 6 or 7 times a game, but I don't care how many times you do it. If you do it this well, you better be careful. They might ask you to do it a few more times. He does a really nice job against Cameron Wembley, and he's a good pass blocker.
He really sealed off Wembley and opened that hole. And
false start, offense, number 61. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Jamie Richard, the center, playing for the injured Jeff Saturday, called for the false start.
Well, you usually only get that when you move the ball around, and take a look at the ball. See if it actually moves, or is it his head? It's his head. See his head go up and down? Did you see he had it down, then he jerked it up, then he had it down, then he jerked it up? That's simulating a snap movement, and that's not legal.
You're only allowed 1 head jerk, huh?
Well, only 1 jerk per line. I was the head jerk.
All right, 1st and 15. Draw action on a delay, and it's a die to the 19, the 18-yard line. McDonald, another tackle with an assist from Leon Williams.
So now here's the payoff for the patience. comes here. And if you're the Colts, the payoff has to come by Joseph Adai breaking some of these tackles. Because Cleveland is playing a little bit softer, and they're making Peyton Manning be patient. Now's the payoff point for the patience. Holding to the field goal, patience pays off.
Adai with 45 yards, the leading rusher in the game. Second and long. That's Clark spinning back inside, just short of the first down. Brought down by Sean Jones and Terry Cousin. Terry Cousin in as the nickel back. I understand that Corey Williams, laceration is the report. No body identification as to where he was injured, but he's been taken back for possible stitches in the locker room and questionable return. 3rd and 2. The quick hitter is complete to Harrison. First down. Right on the back of the receiver, Harrison. He continues to log a statistic after number after another as he moves up the all-time ranks as an NFL receiver. Look at those big numbers for Harrison.
Still making valuable catches. They're not as long as they used to be, but the last 2 games, you mentioned it earlier, Dick, look at that, 15 catches, really being a big part of this offense, though in smaller bites than they used to.
7 yards from the lead on 1st and goal. Adai. Good smack by the defense led by Lewis Leonard, the second-year tackle out of Fresno State, as we approach the 2-minute timeout.
Yeah, now this offense, though, Dick, and before we go to the 2-minute warning, with Peyton Manning, you don't know how much of his 15 seconds he's going to use. We're down to 12, and he's going to spread you out. Listen to this.
10 for 11 is Manning in this opening half. And he was hoping he might get a free 5 or half of 5 on a lurch by a defensive lineman. 2-minute timeout. Back at Cleveland Stadium, where last year the Browns set a record 7 home wins, but this year only 1 in 6 chances. A look at the long drive by Indianapolis to match the one of the Browns earlier. 2nd and goal at the 5. Shifts from under center to the shotgun. And it's a draw to Adai. Gets by one tackler, and he's inside the 2-yard line.
It's really interesting when you watch this offense, Dick, and you watch Peyton. When he's underneath, you know, as a guy playing, don't you expect the ball to be snapped? And if you're a defense, you expect it to be snapped? How about if you're the center? How about if you're the rookie Richard? How about if you're the rookie Pollock doing a great job at offensive right guard there, 78? When do you know the ball's going to be snapped? At least he gives little signals. He'll tap the center on the side of the butt to let him know he's going to go back to the shotgun.
At the 1.5, 3rd and goal. There again, the ace is up. Everyone relaxes. Now he's going to call timeout with 1:17 left. So the Browns, regardless of what happens, going to have very little time when they get the ball back themselves. Harrison is wide right. Wayne to the left. Audible. Manning sees something he likes and wants to take advantage of. Adai up the middle. Plowing forward. Does he get in? No. Stopped right on the doorstep. Leon Williams, the 3rd-year backer from Miami, led the charge with Sean Jones backing him up from his safety spot. Will Tony Dungy go for 6, or will they settle for a tying field goal? We'll find out right after this. Back in Cleveland, Terry McAuley has gone under the hood. This last run by Adai down to the goal line being reviewed. Did he touch that front edge of the line, which would be a touchdown?
And what you really have to do, you only have to crease that imaginary line. The ball, the tip of the ball has to get there for a touchdown. And initially it looks like Adai is going to get there. He gets a great block from Richard, an excellent block from Pollock. And here's the ball right there. Okay? Is it over the line? Is it over here? I don't think so. I don't think it ever gets to that point. It's still right here. I don't think it's over that line. And then he gets pushed back.
Rolling on the field stand. 4th down.
So the call stands. It's 4th and inches against San Diego last week in that big win for Tony Dungy's Colts. On 4th and 1, they went for it down on the Charger 1-yard line. A touchdown to Harrison.
Spread formation, Dick. That just screams out. I'd be real aware of Peyton Manning at his size sneaking out of a spread.
He has 1 touchdown this year. Wayne in motion. Manning, is he in? He pushes back. He is stopped on the goal. No, touchdown. Late call, and it's a touchdown for the Colts, barely. And we would guess this will be reviewed as well. I mean, into a mass of humanity. Tough to see where the ball was. Browns fans and Romeo Crennel.
Fumbled by number 18 and recovered by number 44. By rule, only the fumbling player can advance. The ball is wasted.
Yep.
Fumble. 1st down, Cleveland.
Yep.
Oh, my. What a situation for Manning and the Colts. He lost the ball on 4th and inches. He is the only man who could recover it for the Colts.
Watch it come out here on the sneak. It comes out, and Dallas Clark right there. The helmet goes on the ball. The ball comes out. Dallas Clark is at. See that right there? The ball's on the ground. Dallas Clark gets it. But the only player, we're inside of 2 minutes. It's 4th down. He fumbles. He can recover it and score. But then another player can't do it. Dallas Clark can't recover it.
Manning with so many high moments in his great career. There's a low for him today. Loses the ball as he tried to sneak it in himself. And what a play defensively by the Cleveland Browns. Brodney Poole was the man down there to swipe it away. That one may be reviewed. We'll be right back to Cleveland. A crowd-pleasing goal line stand by the Browns here in Cleveland, denying Manning, who fumbled on the sneak.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. 1st down, Cleveland.
Terry McCauley announcing that the ruling stands on the field. It's a 1-yard line for Crennel's Cleveland team. Best be careful now. They'll afford a safety.
Here comes another sneak. You got a crease right in front of you, Derek Anderson.
And Anderson just noses his way forward. And the Colts trying to rip it away. Gains a couple of yards as we're in the final minute of this opening half.
Now remember, there had to be something just overwhelmingly to say, oh, look, that call wasn't right about the fumble. And there's not a beautiful angle of this. But the best way to look at it is the ball comes loose. Look at Poole right here, number 21. He's coming in from the side. Look where 21 is. He runs straight down the line of scrimmage and then crosses the goal line. So by the time he contacts Manning and where the ball is, he's about a half yard past the goal line, and the ball never gets any further than Poole.
And Clark scooped it up and then lunged into the end zone.
See, there's Poole. And then the ball comes loose, and it's underneath Poole right there, and Poole is clearly not in the end zone. And then Dallas Clark reaches back, snatches it, and brings it into the end zone for him, which is illegal. He can't recover that fumble in that situation. That's sort of, isn't that, we consider that kind of an honorary Raider rule because of the Holy Roller in San Diego about fumbling on 4th down and fumbling and not being the guy that can recover it.
Meanwhile, the injured Colt Keontae Dawson, the tackle, he's going to be helped back to the locker room. I got to show you a little love here, partner. That was terrific. You didn't have a lot of evidence there, but you were able to sort through it. You're going to be a star in CSI. I can see it coming.
How about NCIS?
Either one.
Reunited with my guy Mark Harmon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Teammates at UCLA. So 1 timeout left for Tony Dungy. A turn of events for the Colts here. Certainly looked like they were going to take the lead before the intermission. And there's the handoff to the fullback Vickers, a safety play. Gains a yard. And that takes us to the 56-second mark, another timeout. approaching halftime. The Sprint Halftime Report will have all the latest scores and highlights for you. That's coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report.
Hey, Jake, Bill Cowher's in the studio. We get a 4th down punt here with, not much time to go. Do you think he'd call for a free kick? A fair catch the punt?
I think that might be the call. Let's see what happens on 3rd down and about 7. And it's back to Jamal Lewis. Colts have used all their timeouts here in the half. Reddy Keaho led the charge defensively, and the clock will run now until the punting team comes on.
So look at the discrepancy between the play clock, and it's about 9.5 seconds. Let's call it 9 seconds by the time they get this kickoff.
Now, if this ball is fair caught by Kewan Ratliff, who stands at the 50-yard line, then without any opposition, Vinatieri can come out, tee it up, and try for a field goal. It's a little used rule that goes all the way back to the founding days of football. And Romeo Crennel, obviously, he's going to let people know here. He wants to be sure that the right thing's done. In fact, he had to hurry up there or they're going to take a penalty for delay of game.
30-second timeout.
Well, the last thing he wanted was to have to get half the distance to the goal, backed up beyond the 2.5, and give your punter Zastudil absolutely no room to kick from.
The time is 10 seconds, and Manning, just in case, get on the field maybe with a second or two and try a long bomb. What a fascinating drive and result that was. You just think you've seen it all. You talk about the way that the Colts have protected the ball all year, and then the very first play of the game, Adai fumbles. He hadn't fumbled in 2 years. Now they come down with a chance on 4th and less than a yard to take the lead, and a fumble by Manning. And the Browns still have a 6-3 lead as Zastudil will kick from deep in his own end zone. Ratliff out at the 50-yard line, and he can fair catch this now. Will he? No, he doesn't. That would have been a 60-yard attempt had he fair caught it. And it's good coverage by Josh Cribbs again. How does he have the knack to always be in the right spot to make a special team tackle? He leads them now with 20 on the year.
There's a tough decision. In this case, do you just chunk the ball down into the end zone? It looks like what the Colts will choose to do is they just got their extra yards, and they'll just throw the ball down into the end zone area, or throw it deep here on the last play of the half and hope for a penalty, because the half can't end on a defensive penalty if they can draw one.
It's been so long since we've seen that fair catch and the free kick. Thought that might be the time. It was the perfect conditions. It would have been about a 60-yard Vinatieri try, but no opposition. It's just like a kickoff. If it goes through the uprights, you got it. Here's Manning with a long throw toward the end zone, and it is intercepted. Covered by Sean Jones, and that's the end of the half as Jones has his 2nd interception of the season. So a couple of fumbles by a team that rarely does that. The Indianapolis Colts have kept the Cleveland Browns in the lead. At the intermission, it's 6-3 Browns. We'll be back with the Sprint Halftime Report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Ready for the second half. First half, first play started with the Adai fumbled, and it led to one of 2 short Phil Dawson field goals for the 6 Cleveland points. And then a goal line stand on 4th and 1, denying Manning retained the lead as we approach the second half. And the action, as always, will be brought to you in high definition here on CBS. Well, the statistics, as would be the case in a 6-3 game, nothing really jumps out.
Nothing crazy, but it really is a great case so far of the patience of the Cleveland Browns paying off. They've been very patient on defense, haven't given up the huge play to Peyton Manning. You see 141 total yards for the Colts, not in huge chunks, very small little bites, manageable bites from the Cleveland Browns perspective. These two teams played the opening game of 2003. It was 9-6 Colts on a last-second field goal. I don't expect the same result, but I expect the patient. Patient is not the word for the Colts at all times, though. I wouldn't be surprised if they start taking a few shots and put the ball maybe in jeopardy.
And Cleveland will get the ball first to open the second half. You saw Josh Cribbs setting up as Vinatieri has to re-tee the ball. Cribbs, who is electric as a returner. And what is surprising is a man who didn't return kicks in high school or college at Kent State, and also how tough he is on special teams and covering kicks. Ever dangerous at the 5. Not much of an opening there, and he is drilled at the 22 by Marcus Howard. Yeah, Derek Anderson and the Browns take the field on offense. You see Anderson and Manning, their comparison. Only 3 passes hit the ground in the entire first half. 2 incomplete by Manning. 1 was intercepted. Desperation final play. 7 of 8 for Anderson. And the runners fairly even. Even Adai 9+ over Jamal Lewis. And it's Lewis at tailback behind Vickers, the fullback. Patiently looks for a hole. Not much there. Gain of about 3. Browns only had the ball 3 possessions.
Yeah, but a lot of plays. Those first 2, especially that second one, the 16-play, 9-minute+ drive, their longest of the year time-wise.
Brown is injured on that play, and it's Kellen Winslow, who has been plagued by injury since picked in the first round out of Miami of Florida 4 years ago. So the attend of the Browns tied in will take a break.
Just take a look at the left leg, left ankle of Kellen Winslow. And he ran back off the field, so it wasn't anything that big, but I bet he didn't know his ankle had been like that.
Oh, boy, that was scary. Lewis gains only a yard on 2nd and 8 as Clint Session. Good, hard driving tackle. They attend to tight end Kellen Winslow, and a reminder of other injuries. Gary Brackett not expected to return. An ankle sprain in the first half or worse. Keontae Dawson, a hamstring, left the field in the second quarter. He is questionable as well for the Colts.
Well, now the Colts stop the run. First down, stop it on 2nd down. Now 3rd and long. This plays into the hands of the Indianapolis Colts defense.
Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis, who can rush that passer so effectively. Here comes Freeney. The throw down the middle is dropped by Edwards. A tough chance, but fans have become accustomed to Edwards not hauling it in.
Well, you know, Derek Anderson last week fit a ball in some very, very tight spots. This isn't about a bad route. This is about a throw that could only be in one spot, and Edwards wasn't there. He was only able to reach back with the one hand. You know, I'm not going to dog the guy for that. That was a throw that I'm not sure Anderson just had to get rid of it or it'd be a sack.
Zastudil kicks it to Kewan Ratliff, drives this one inside the 25. Fumbled by Ratliff or muffs, and then he has to swallow the surge. Hangs onto the ball around the 15-yard line.
That sounds painful. Do you need water to swallow your average surge?
Well, it's led by Josh Cribbs. Cribbs, first down field again.
Gulp.
Foul weather gear in good use today here at Cleveland Stadium. Temperature expected to drop down near freezing and snow later.
To see that usually watching in a dome, priceless on that side.
Indy fan. Ball at the 16 was a 56-yard punt by Zastudil and 2 yards minus on the muff by Ratliff. Manning from his own 16. Going to throw on first down and looking for a big one. Downfield for Wayne, intercepted at the 50-yard line. It's Brandon McDonald. He's down by contact. Whistle blows that dead, but McDonald with his 3rd interception of the season. They've been picking on him, but he makes another outstanding play. He's had several today.
They were in a 2-deep shell. Suddenly now it's a man look. McDonald matched up on Wayne. I talked about Peyton Manning having to be patient. If you take those shots, you'll put the ball in play. Peyton puts the ball in play, and McDonald makes him pay.
Manning in the 4-game win streak with only 1 interception. Remember last week at San Diego, but 2 today. 2 in a row, in fact, because he ended the first half with that desperation throw that was intercepted. McDonald offers a souvenir, and from the 49, Cleveland looks to extend their 6-3 lead. Anderson's going to go up on top. He's got a man open, incomplete. The ball sailed wide. It was Dante Stallworth who had beaten his man, Kelvin Hayden.
Remember, Dick, when we talked to Derek Anderson about this stadium, says, you know, we really don't know about the wind. I can throw the ball on what I think is going to be 3 or 4 yards from the sideline, and I'll stand back there and watch it, and suddenly it'll go 2 or 3 yards left or 2 or 3 yards right. That may have been the case because he's throwing, you know, right into basically with the direction the wind's blowing in.
So 2nd and 10 from the 49. Of course, in bad weather, high winds, the pass inside the numbers is often the key. Here's a quick throw to Stallworth to the 45 and a gain of 4. Melvin Bullitt and Tim Jennings team up on the tackle.
So now remember, I think it's very important if you're Rob Chudzinski and you're this offensive football team, don't put the ball in danger. Peyton Manning had a turnover that McDonald made him pay for. That gives you beautiful field position. You have to do something dumb with the ball now. It's not all bad to punt in this situation. That means your punter, Zastudil, may be able to kill it inside the 10. You play a little field position for a while.
Edwards to the left. Stallworth right. Deep down the middle. Complete to Edwards. He's inside the 25 with a first down. Antoine Bethea, the defender.
Just a flat, beautiful throw by Derek Anderson as you see Kellen Winslow going in to have a little look at that ankle. Look at the throw right off the backside of Jennings. Derek Anderson zips that thing right off the right arm of Jennings. Perfectly caught by Braylon Edwards. You can't always say that in 2008.
20-yard reception, the longest of the day for the Browns. Now it's Jamal Lewis. Vaulting his way inside the 20. And the big man carries tacklers with him for about 8. Antoine Bethea finally gets him down.
Now, I've used the term patience an awful lot. Watch the patience it takes to be a running back in this league if you want to follow your fullback. Vickers, the fullback, starts right. He peels back. Jamal Lewis sees his fullback peel back. He follows his fullback. Beautiful job onside of increasing the running game. Nice lead block. Excellent game.
53 yards today for Jamal Lewis. They've not had the Browns a 100-yard rusher all season. And Lewis gets very little on 2nd and short. Antonio Johnson, second-year tackle from Mississippi State, with the play. Kellen Winslow, questionable his return, low ankle injury.
Low ankle, is that your heel?
Yeah, that's
I've heard
high
of a
ankle. That's worse, right? Low ankle could
I
be.
hear.
Often those ankles can be really testy and sideline a player for many weeks.
No matter what that X-ray says, he's very lucky. You saw the replay. He got bent around.
And Anderson has to use the time here on 3rd and 2. It was not going to get the play off. Play clock was down to 5 seconds. With Tennessee out in front, 11-1 in the AFC South. Indianapolis has the wild card position coming in over Baltimore and New England, although all 7-4. But Cornell Brown's upset today really moves matters around. As Josh Cribbs now is the tailback. Anderson is out. And the give, no. Cribbs keeps it and doesn't gain a thing. Well read as knifing through was Clint Session, the linebacker. Yeah, there's one you should celebrate. He stops Cribbs short of the first down. That'll bring out Dawson.
Yeah, I don't like this at all. I just think this is kind of outsmarting yourself and being too cute. You got there with a running game with a Jamal Lewis. You got there with quick, accurate passing. Why in the heck do you do that?
You saw Steptoe missed his block.
Yeah, I mean, you're putting people in positions they're not used to being successful in.
34-25, good for Dawson now from 35. And this one is going to sail right, no good. So a wasted opportunity. The interception leads to 0 for the Browns. And in this field goal kicking contest, the miss by Dawson keeps it a 3-point game. Here in Cleveland, the wind picking up a bit, gusting at 20 miles an hour, affecting play in that last drive on a pass and perhaps the kick by Dawson. Sailed right. And the pass also moved to the right sideline, incomplete. So taking over at the 25, trailing 6-3. Manning and the Colts. Dominic Rhodes is the tailback in this set. And it's Rhodes. Finds a sliver of a hole and makes an 8-yard gain of it before Shawn Rogers can make the tackle. 2nd and 2, and Manning appealing to the sidelines as if to say, come on, hurry up, get it into me. Or not as if Manning can't call his own plays.
Yeah. Doesn't want to be interrupted by that voice in his ear.
2nd and 2. Rhodes stays in the game, and he is belted, and a solid hit just shy of the first down. Cameron Wembley from Florida State with the tackle.
A couple of real good young ball players right here. The center, Richards, the right guard, Pollock, with a tough assignments. You're going against, if you're Richard, you're trying to work against Shawn Rogers, and Richard does a real nice job. On the backside, Pollock does a pretty good job. It's just everybody else lets the Cleveland defense push him back into the backfield.
3rd and 1. Back to Rhodes. He's got the first down. Needed 1, picked up 2, and Leon Williams with a tackle. You know, Tony Dungy said, you know, they really hadn't addressed the offensive line in picking up players in the draft, but this year they went after Richard in the 7th round from Buffalo, Pollock from Arizona State in the 2nd round, and Steve Justice was a 6th round pick of Wake Forest. He said, I think I've got myself 3 really good linemen.
Well, Tony Dungy and Bill Polian, character matters, speed matters, athletic ability matters. Pretty good place to start if you're looking for football players. Let the rest of it take care of itself.
Well, first down for Manning and the Colts, trailing 6-3 here in the 3rd. Quick throw is to the sideline to Rhodes, pushed out of bounds by Eric Wright. 5 possessions, 1 barely counts. The interception on the last play of the half, a desperate throw by Manning.
Bracketed by an interception on the first play down the field to start the 3rd quarter.
Just when you think you've seen everything, Manning picked off last play of the first half.
So much for the old quarterback rating.
A lot of time for Manning to pile up the numbers. Caught in the backfield as Rhodes. It didn't fool the Browns on that carry. Adams came up from the secondary to support Cameron Wembley.
Well, we talked about the young offensive lineman. Let's talk about another big force. How about Shawn Rogers? He's playing as good a defensive tackle as anybody in the league. Don't believe what you hear. That's right through a double team. It's not all just been Hainsworth and Chris Jenkins. They're not the only guys having a career year. Shawn Rogers came here from Detroit, and he is playing his tail off.
3rd down, 6. Manning likes to go long out of the shotgun. Let's see if he goes for a big one here. To the sideline, caught. Reggie Wayne in traffic, double covered by Sean Jones and Brandon McDonald, and pulls it in for the first down.
You know, often we talk about throws being to the backside number, to the onside number. This is to the right armpit. This ball almost buries itself in Reggie Wayne's arm. Just beautiful play. I mean, McDonald didn't have that bad a coverage on that play. Peyton Manning just out threw him.
16 yards in the play, the 3rd catch for Wayne today. Adai back into the backfield, first down at the Cleveland 44. And Adai hit in the backfield and dropped at the line of scrimmage by veteran Willie McGinnis.
With a touchdown, 13-10 Bucks. Back to Dick and Randy.
And quick or no huddle by Manning, hurries into a play to Adai. Alex Hall makes the tackle. A flag is down.
Defense, 12 men on the field, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Thus the quick snap. Whenever you see a quick snap, it means 2 things. If you're Romeo Crennel and you're playing the Colts, it means Peyton Manning doesn't want to replay, or Tony Dungy's quarterback has recognized that you have too many players on the field. Look at all these guys on the field at the top of the screen up here when they finally get around to snapping the ball.
Your number system go up to 15?
Just draw a yes. How many is that? Yes. Too many.
2nd and 5 then for the Colts as they pick up a free 5. How frustrating it must be for defensive coordinators trying to get new personnel on the field. First down to Gonzalez, and Anthony Gonzalez, who grew up here in Cleveland, has his first catch today. He went to St. Ignatius High School, and his high school alma mater won the Class A championship against Cincinnati Elder yesterday, 28-20.
And you remember what we said about Romeo Cornell was going to substitute one guy at a time? I guess that last play didn't count. He's going to go back to one guy at a time, I think.
First down at the 30. Colts first possession of the second half as they look after the lead. A die into a crowd, a gain of a couple into the teeth of the Browns defense.
Yeah, a little bit different. The difference is also personnel, but you've got Orr in the game. Look at this is a 3-4 defense, right? Well, they're basically giving Peyton Manning and the Colts a 4-3 look. For all intents and purposes, what they're currently presenting is a 4-3.
There's defensive coordinator of the Browns, Mel Tucker. Actually, second possession for the Colts here in the second half. Just a one-play interception to start the half for Indianapolis. And here goes the long try by Manning, deep for Wayne, incomplete. McDonald shadowing him along the sidelines. Accepts the support and congratulations of the Browns fans.
Hey, the one thing you have to do if you play Peyton Manning is you can't let them form a pocket. You've got to flatten that pocket out, get it up in his face. When you don't do it, he can scooch up. Then he can freely throw the ball. They got away with one there because Peyton will not miss a receiver by that much very often.
So third and long for Manning and the Colts. They're in long field goal range. The 11th play of this drive. Be about a 47-yard field goal if they make no yards here. Manning, plenty of time, dumps it off, incomplete, in and out of the hands of a dive. So fourth down and long, and out comes Adam Vinatieri, that familiar number 4. What a kicker he has been, and when there's pressure on, he's at his best, including the playoffs. 41 for 50. That's pressure kicking and playoff action. This year, he's 14 for 17 coming in. He's made his only attempt today, and the 1-yarder last week won in San Diego. This is from 46.
Keep an eye on Sean Rogers, 92 over the left guard.
Oh, it hooks left, no good. Yeah, trying to drive it through the wind. Not close. It remains 6-3 in Cleveland.
There's Rogers, 92. He's already blocked 2 this year. Why? Look at that penetration. He didn't get the ball, but you can't convince me that he didn't affect that thing going left.
Vinatieri had to feel him so deep into the backfield. Jamal Lewis on first down, out to the 38, a gain of 1. Taiwan Hagler, the tackler. Yeah, Sean Rogers, so many benefits. Not only is he tough stuffing the run, but when you think of his career, I mean, this is just mind-boggling that one man would have 13 block kicks. Rogers.
Look at the size of him. Does he count as one guy?
Well, that's a good point.
Most neighborhoods, that is a neighborhood. He is a big guy.
We asked him about his nickname, Big Baby, and I kind of backed off as I suggested that was his nickname. Anderson underneath. Lewis drives 2 yards shy of the first down. And there's so many this year, aren't there? Third down and 2. Shotgun Anderson. Interestingly. Ooh, a quick pass, and it may be good for the first down. It is to Steptoe. And Steptoe got more than his toe stepped on as Antoine Bethea drives that tackle. But it was a 3-yard gain, enough for a Brown first down.
Well, that's how you make up for that whiff block on that Wildcat formation stuff that they had last time they had the ball. You get a chance, don't let Bethea dislodge the ball. Go ahead and hold on to it.
First down at the 48 for Cleveland. As time ticking away. A fast-paced game with so few passes and so few not complete. Clock continues to run. 6-3 Cleveland late in the third. Fake to Lewis. Anderson all day. Throw to Lewis. Incomplete. Session over there to knock it away. Second and 10. To Lewis. A running lane, finally toppled at the 46 by Darrell Reed, the defensive tackle. Brings up third down and 5.
A very important run to get in that position because Peyton Manning's in the perfect spot as far as Romeo Cornell's concern, and that's with a stocking cap on his head, sitting on the heated bench, hopefully getting nice and cozy and warm, because Romeo wants his offense to be methodical. His defense is being patient, and his offense is being methodical, and it's the formula for beating a team like the Indianapolis Colts.
Third down and 4. Anderson has Edwards out to the left. Looks back to the right. Throws incomplete to Hayden, the tight end, who's in there for Kellen Winslow. And again, throwing to the right sidelines, it seems the ball really is sailing on Anderson, and that'll bring out the punt team.
You know, the fans don't like it, but you know what? Sometimes for a quarterback, punting is not bad. Putting the ball in the wrong spot, that is bad. Now, if Anderson, maybe the ball does fade on him a little bit going this way because of the wind, but he put that ball where only Hayden could get it. He was the only one that had a chance at it. He wasn't going to put the ball in danger.
Zastudil averaging 50 yards on his first 2 punts to Keywan Ratliff, who muffed the last one. That's a bounce, and it takes a Browns bounce. Zastudil having quite a day in the kicking department, and who should ground the ball? Oh, come on. You know it's Josh Cribbs. We'd like to see you in Honolulu, Joshua.
That's right. He's got to start getting fitted for his lay, and this is how a punter makes the Pro Bowl. Do enough of these. That's a nice kill shot. Yeah, they took their time. Peyton was over there with Tom Moore till the very last second. This has been their day so far.
A fumble on the first offensive snap by Adai. A couple of Manning interceptions. Stopped on the goal line on a 4th and 1 quarterback sneak. Now they open this series on their own 4. And Dominic Rhodes in the backfield, and Rhodes has got the better speed. Adai more powerful. And Rhodes a 5-yard pickup on first down. Cameron Wembley, the tackler.
It's interesting at a time like this, and we've talked about this defensive line, whether it's Sean Smith or Sean Rogers or Leonard or whoever. Very good size on this defensive line. Linebackers aren't huge. You know, a guy like Cameron Wembley, he's not physically imposing, but his offensive line for the Indianapolis Colts also lacks a lot of size. But as you saw in that last play, they've got lots of punch.
Well, those 3 men up front for the Browns. Williams is 320, Rogers over 350, and Sean Smith 325.
It's a blitz.
2nd and 5. The quick throw is to Gonzalez, and he's out to the 13, where it'll be 3rd down and 1, and final seconds tick away here in the 3rd quarter. Andre Davis and Brodney Poole the tackle. End of 3 in Cleveland, where the Browns lead by 6-3. We'll return to Cleveland after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. We go to the 4th quarter in Cleveland. Dick Enberg with Randy Cross. Bob Monsbach, our producer. Suzanne Smith calling the shots in the director's chair. 6-3 Cleveland. They had 6 points and a couple of field goals last week in their loss to Houston. They've not scored a touchdown now in 7 quarters, but have the lead 6-3. It's 3rd down and 1 at the 8-yard line, and defensive tackle Darrell Reed has checked in as an eligible receiver on the 13-yard line. Adai, the running back. No, it's Reed at tailback or at fullback here. He'll lead the way to Adai apparently, and does. And Adai has the first down to the 15, out to the 17-yard line. Indianapolis, very first play of the game for those of you joining us. Adai fumbled. He hadn't fumbled in a couple of years, or lost a fumble. Then a field goal after a long drive. They were stopped on downs, then a couple of interceptions. The second was on a desperation pass at the end of the half. And then a missed field goal from 46 yards by Vinatieri here in the 3rd quarter. And now we're early in the 4th. First down. Dominic Rhodes now the tailback. And it's Rhodes. And a good solid hit from DeQuell Jackson, 3rd-year backer from Maryland. Can you imagine that Terrapin team with Jackson and Sean Merriman, a set of linebackers?
And he plays that middle linebacker position extremely well, or inside linebacker, especially when he's the backside, offside guy like he just was. Andre Davis, he takes up the blockers, and DeQuell Jackson can run from the backside and deliver the blow.
Getting to see backup center Jamie Richard, the rookie from Buffalo, for Jeff Saturday, calling out the blocking schemes a la Saturday. And Manning again takes his time. Clock down to 4 seconds.
Watch Dallas Clark here.
Back to Rhodes, swinging to the left side. And he's dropped at the 25-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 3.
When you talk about mistakes, Dick, by the Colts, do we look at this as mistakes by the Colts or really good plays by the Cleveland Browns? I guess because the Colts are playing well, you say, well, they must be their mistakes, but the fumbles were caused, the interceptions are made, the penetration is made, that causes the miss by Vinatieri. I think it's a lot more Cleveland-driven than just saying that it's Indy's mistakes.
They've led the league the last 3 years, and again this year in protecting the ball, but not today. 3 turnovers. 3rd and 3. Manning to throw for it. Underneath, incomplete, intended for Wayne, and cutting in front was Brandon McDonald, and that took away the angle from Manning.
You use the term in basketball quite often about shadowing another player and denying him the ball, not letting him get the ball. That's what Brandon McDonald does. He shadows Wayne. There's no space. There's nowhere to put that ball for the completion.
And there wasn't time for Manning to just loft the ball over the defender because Sean Rogers and company were pressuring him from the inside.
Well, you better get this one high. Cribbs can make you pay if you kick a low punt here.
Ubiquitous Joshua Cribbs waits, and what high punt by Hunter Smith, and a fair catch. Cribbs at the 32-yard line. The Browns early in the 4th with the ball and a 3-point lead. That classic Army-Navy next Saturday on CBS. Jamal Lewis on 1st down, out for a couple of yards into the arms of Antonio Johnson. Number 99.
You talk about that Army-Navy game, and Paul Johnson coached Navy until last year and left there and went to Georgia Tech, and there was a great game on CBS yesterday, Georgia Tech and Georgia, and Georgia Tech beat a favored team like Georgia because Paul Johnson used that triple option. He pounded the ball on the ground. Romeo Crennel, Derek Anderson, Jamal Lewis. How do you finish this game off? You do it on the ground with your line.
Rain picks up here in Cleveland as the give is to Lewis, and Lewis across the 35 will be about 4 yards shy of a 1st down. Well, Indy 7-4.
Play tenured standing.
The blue hand, Joe Flacco. Meanwhile, here it's Jason Wright for Jamal Lewis, and he keeps moving the pile. They had him stopped at the 40. That would have been shy of the 1st down and brought up 4th down. But Jason Wright, 5'10" and 215 pounds, would not be denied.
Beautiful job. Wright does a nice imitation of Jamal Lewis in his prime. Won't stop the legs from churning, keeps them burning, keeps them moving, gets the first, and little running game magic working right now for Cleveland.
You are on your game. A little poetry thrown in at no extra charge. Churning and burning. Jason Wright takes a breather, and Jamal Lewis is in. 6-3 Cleveland. Now it's Lewis. And he stopped at the 45. Johnson again leading the charge. Just a reminder, folks, Gary Brackett, the crucial middle linebacker for the Indianapolis Colts, was injured in the 2nd quarter, has not returned, an ankle injury. And Brackett, along with Bob Sanders, the 2 top tacklers of this Colts defense. Sanders didn't suit up, and they're without Brackett here in the 2nd half.
And Dawson, one of their biggest defensive tackles, went out earlier today, too. And Jeff Saturday didn't even suit up today because of his calf muscle.
And Brady Quinn, quarterback for the Browns, out for the rest of the year with a fractured index finger. Anderson, good play action, and throws complete to the side, incomplete. Hayden had it, and then it was knocked away.
No, it was a catch.
They're going to mark that as a catch.
It's a catch and fumbled backwards out of bounds.
That might be challenged by Tony Dungy, who is more or less reluctant to do so.
It was fumbled backwards out of bounds behind the marker.
Pass is incomplete. 3rd down.
That's how I saw it. Here's how we see it in the replay.
Really nice job of setting this play up. Derek Anderson gets the ball there. The feet aren't on the ground. The jar comes, and the ball comes loose from Hayden. Very nice job just closing on the ball by Hayden. Hayden gets it in there and doesn't let the ball settle in to the tight end's hands.
Former star at Illinois, Kelvin Hayden. Another injury that lost for the year. Marlon Jackson was the other corner for these Colts. Went out with a knee on IR earlier this season.
Some teams, injuries are excuses. Other teams are just opportunities for whoever's behind the guy that's hurt.
Sounds like Dungy's Colts, doesn't it? Anderson has it knocked away from behind. That's a loose ball and a live ball. And here come the Colts to take the lead with Robert Mathis making the big play again. Mathis, who was the star, forcing the fumble on Phillip Rivers that may have saved the victory for the Colts a week ago, and now he comes up with a possible game winner and a 37-yard return. It was Freeney that stripped it away as he came in from one side, and Mathis, the speedy defensive end on the other side, scoops it and scores.
225, 230 pounds, and he gets into the end zone quickly with it. You saw some of those shots that Suzanne Smith, our director, has been showing you of the sideline for Indy. It's almost looked like they were waiting for something to happen. They were waiting for Cleveland to make a key mistake. Well, Cleveland, you made the mistake. Now what are you going to do? How are you going to react? You took the right cross. You've been on the mat. What do you do now?
And what a 1-2 punch, Freeney and Mathis, as Vinatieri adds the extra point. Freeney and Mathis in their careers with the Colts have forced now 70 forced fumbles between them. And this one pays off with a Mathis touchdown. The conclusion of this one in the rain in Cleveland. Robert Mathis with his first ever NFL touchdown has given the Colts the lead 10-6. And here comes Cribbs, and Josh Cribbs out across the 30 and a flag down. And it's back at the 20-yard line where you expect.
During the return, illegal block in the back, receiving team, number 96. Half of this to the goal, first down, timeout.
So the Browns are going to start at their own 10-yard line. So Freeney forces the fumble, and Mathis with his first ever NFL score. Dwight Freeney, #1 pick out of Syracuse 6 years ago. What an all-star player he's been. The big turnover in the lead, 10-6. Derek Anderson in Cleveland starting from their own 10 after the penalty on the kick return. Underneath, incomplete to Stallworth. Let's go back to the forced fumble and touchdown.
The matchup to look at, obviously, is Freeney and Joe Thomas working right here. Contrary to what you might have read in the local papers, Joe Thomas played pretty well against Mario Williams. But look at this line you can draw, the straight line through Joe Thomas's leg. That means he's high. That means Dwight Freeney is bull rushing him. That buys him straight access to the ball and Derek Anderson to cause that fumble.
37 yards on the touchdown return by Mathis. 2nd and 10, complete to Hayden. Hayden playing for the injured Kellen Winslow, who has not returned after an ankle injury early in this half. To Taiwan Hagler, the tackle. Brings up 3rd down for Cleveland out across the 18.
Remember the lack of kind of desperation, the calmness of Indianapolis up till that touchdown? Well, Anderson and the Cleveland Browns need to kind of emulate a little bit of that calmness. You did it with a calmness in the first half. You got first downs. You kept drives alive. You've got to keep this drive alive.
So Dungy, it is the personality of the head coach of this Indianapolis team. Anderson throws into a crowd and hits Hayden. No, it's Martin Rucker. And that for Rucker, the rookie from Missouri, is his first ever NFL catch.
Was that a catch? From the reaction of the players looking at it, I'd get on the ball pretty quick, but empty backfield, nobody back there. You had a zone drop because you had the defensive lineman. Johnson is dropped back in that zone. He actually tips the ball. Rucker catches it anyway.
Well, big catch on 3rd down. The Browns get another set of downs and give it to Jamal Lewis. And Lewis turns to the 30 and a 3-yard gain on 1st down. And for Jamal Lewis now, he's up around 71 yards for the day. 80 is his best of the season.
Colt down.
Oh,
Freddie Keahu.
A rash of injuries, although this one, Keahu is trying to get up in a hurry.
Well, remember, it's been Keahu playing middle linebacker for Gary Brackett, who went out with the bad leg/ankle that got caught in a pile.
We've said it over and over again. It's just a matter of fact. When they get on the scales, they're small. Keahu is only 225, playing middle linebacker.
And often it happens when you get around large groups of people. And in this case, Hank Fraley gets a nice block on Freddie Keahu and pushes him back, and his ankle just sort of buckles and wobbles.
That means Jordan Sen, 5'11", 224, rookie Portland State, comes in. So Taiwan Hagler has replaced Brackett, and now Sen for Keahu.
Puts Hagler at the middle linebacker position.
Third middle linebacker for the Colts today. Draw play to Jamal Lewis, and he could not find the hole. Looked like the hole was to the left side. He went right. On third down, the throw is complete at the 37 to Hyden, the tight end. And that's going to be good enough for the first down, or is it? It's right at the yellow line.
It's close.
Now
they're going to call it first.
First down to Hyden, who has filled in for Winslow quite admirably, hasn't he, throughout this season?
You know, he's actually been more reliable than Kellen Winslow. When Winslow has been down for whatever reason, he's been the guy that Derek Anderson has been able to turn to, or Brady Quinn, in tight situations. You know that didn't feel good. You don't come up with a divot like that on your face mask, you know, for nothing. And Sen put a heck of a hit on him, but he still didn't cough it up.
But wait a minute, he's a jackrabbit from South Dakota State. They can take those hits. Same school as Vinatieri attempted. Underneath Lewis, a low throw. That puts your fullback or running back in a tough position. He wants to get that ball and go before defensive pressure comes, and that ball thrown down around the knees is a tough catch.
Yeah, that one's on. That down is on Derek Anderson. Now it leaves him 2 downs to get 10 yards. And you don't want to put yourself, as they found out, in third and long. This has got to be at least a 4-yard gain.
Only touchdown in the game on defense by Robert Mathis with a fumble return of 37 yards. We're down to the 6.5-minute mark. Lewis breaks one tackle from Josh Thomas and then moves forward until Clint Session can secure the stop across the 40-yard line. The Bluebirds start to announce their position here in Cleveland.
Well, that's going to leave you in a 3rd and 7 plus, because you have to, the ball's right on the 40. You've got to get past the 47-yard line for this first down. So remember, Cornell's offense, job number 1, protect Derek Anderson. Give him the time to look down the field to get this ball complete.
Now this is where Robert Mathis and Dwight Freeney salivate. They'll be coming hard off the edge. Good protection. The throw incomplete and almost intercepted, is it? No, intercepted. It is called incomplete as Kelvin Hayden scooped it off the top of the grass.
It was intended for Hyden, the tight end. And it almost looked like a duplication of last week's pass that he threw right perfectly between defenders. Hyden keeps going, and he throws it right in between the defenders. There's no Cleveland receiver there. The tight end's the closest one.
And the Browns, who have not scored a touchdown in 2 games here at home, 16-6 losers to Houston, trailing 10-6 today, have to give it up with 5.5 to go. And Manning can chew up the clock. Zastadil, this one doesn't die inside the 5. It'll be Manning and the Colts starting at the 20 with a 4-point lead. 4th quarter when we come back. Well, here in Cleveland with thoughts that maybe Cornell will not come back. There's a campaign for Bill Cowher, who played here as a special teamer and was an assistant under Marty Schottenheimer.
No mystery here. Hold on to the ball and do not give it back to Cleveland if you're Indy.
Thanks to the defense, the Colts have a 4-point lead as they look for their 5th consecutive win. He has to push Rhodes back into his position again and then gives to Dominic Rhodes. Hit in the backfield as a flag goes down. It was Andre Davis and Mike Adams who made the play, but maybe Adams had a jump on the snap.
Offside, defense, number 55.
No, it was McGinnis.
First down.
Veteran linebacker Willie McGinnis is called for offside.
And Willie McGinnis here at the top of the screen gets off to an early start. Evidently, you can't have this. I mean, here's when you have to have, it's got to be screwed down the most, and it's got to be tighter than ever. And Willie knows that more than anybody else. That's what he's been trying to teach all these other defenders for Cleveland.
Yeah, he negated a really good play. He had nothing to do with the tackle in the backfield, but no loss. Instead, it's 1st and 5 for Manning. Stays on the ground. Dominic Rhodes. He gets a yard. It'll be 2nd and 4. Importance of this game for Colts and their fans at 7-4 with 4 straight wins. They have beaten Baltimore at 7-4. They have defeated New England at 7-4. So they have, in essence, a 1-game edge over their rivals for that top wild card position. That's why this game and the defense perhaps saving the day is so important. And they have 3 what would be considered almost sure wins ahead, teams that have had trouble beating anyone other than themselves.
You've got to challenge the Colts receivers here if you're the Browns.
Quick throw is complete to Reggie Wayne, and Wayne tackled immediately right at the yellow line. Progress to the 30, and that'll be a first down. Rodney Poole timing his tackle, but it is a first down for the Colts, and the clock runs to the 4-minute mark.
That was a pretty good spot for the Colts.
Look at the opponents coming up. The next 3, Cincinnati, Detroit, and Jacksonville, with only 5 wins. And what is that? 27 losses and 1 tie.
Well, when your remaining schedule wins 35% of their games, and one team has 11 wins, the other 4 aren't very good.
It seems the gate is open if they win today for 8 in a row. Rhodes drags tacklers to the 35 and a 5-yard pickup on first down. Wembley first to the ball carrier. Clock ticking at 3:28.
If you're always looking for that it team, now they can only have so many more injuries, but Tony Dungy's football team, if they get some of these players back like Saturday and Sanders and they're healthy, they don't have too many cataclysmic injuries like the Giants finishing strong. They'd be a 9-game winning streak. I could see them from this point winning 5 and 4. I could see them winning 9 from here.
Look at Manning using the clock. The Browns don't call time. They have 2 timeouts left. Now under the 3-minute mark.
That play clock will go down to 2 or 1 every time.
2nd and 5. Rhodes straightened on the tackle is about 1.5 yards short of the first down, and Cleveland should use a timeout here, do they?
Now they absolutely should use one more before the 2-minute warning. But Peyton will let this go.
Yeah, of course.
There's 26, so he'll take it down to right about 9 or 10, 2:10, 2:9 before he snaps it.
Frustration in Cleveland, where they won 7 home games a year ago, and they're 1-5 this year. Joseph Adai now on 3rd and short. This could be the game here. It'll really put the Browns in a box if Adai or Manning makes it. It's Adai hitting the backfield and denied. Good defensive surge. With 2:04 left, he'll get the timeout at the 2-minute warning right here. Willie McGinnis making up for that offside, and Andre Davis charged in to drive Adai short of the first down. 2 to go in Cleveland. The Colts by 4. That's Josh Cribbs, perhaps Cleveland's most potent weapon in this 10-6 game. He's back in punt return position at the 20-yard line as Hunter Smith is on to kick for Indianapolis. He's had to punt only once in the entire game.
He controls the field position for where Cleveland starts. He doesn't hit a perfect punt. Joshua Cribbs will give him good field position.
And the Browns have 2 timeouts left and 2 minutes to go. Short kick. A wobbler that's going to take a lateral bounce and touchdown field by Philip Wheeler at the 30-yard line. Florida and Bama 1 and 2 in offense and defense in the SEC. Anderson steps up, dumps it underneath to right to the 35, a 5-yard gain. Clock runs. Anderson started 7 for 7 in the first half. He's 8 for 17 cents.
You really need to go to your wide receivers to get you some chunks in this situation. You can't dink and dunk.
They used 32 seconds since the 2-minute warning to get that short gain, and there an incomplete pass might have been good fortune for Cleveland because it wouldn't have even given them a first down, and the clock would have either run or they'd have to spend a timeout. Jason Wright on the receiving end.
Yeah, it's interesting. At times it seems like Dante Stallworth, who was signed here this year to this offense, is MIA. It's like he's not even part of this offense. He goes to one side, and I'm not sure if Derek Anderson even considers that side of the field. He's almost an afterthought.
He missed 5 games with a quadricep injury, but has only 13 catches all year, 1 today. Anderson steps up, another short pass to right, and it's a first down at the 45, and the Colts won't be in any hurry to unpile as Raheem Brock was there on the tackle as he drifted back in deep defense. There's the second timeout used by the Browns. 1 remaining. First down at the 45. Well, the Colts have really done a job winning the close ones, and here's another. Week 9 against New England. Vinatieri, 52-yard field goal. Colts win by 3. At Pittsburgh, Peyton Manning, touchdown pass to Rhodes. Colts win by 4. Week 11, Houston, Adai, touchdown. They beat the Texans by 6. And last week at San Diego, Vinatieri, no time remaining, 51 yards, money, and a Colts 3-point victory.
Talk about big plays. The big play was put in by the dynamic duo. Dwight Freeney causing the fumble. Robert Mathis picking up the scraps and taking it for 6.
And a 4-point edge with 1 minute, 16 seconds left. 1 timeout in the pocket of Romeo Crennel and the Browns. Ball at the 45, Cleveland territory. And Anderson dumped by Mathis, Robert Mathis. And that could all be the final blow against this Browns offense. And Anderson is very slow getting up. And he looks to be seriously wounded.
They pushed Mathis pushed Schaefer right back into Anderson's lap and pinned his left leg. He couldn't move.
Ken Dorsey is the 3rd string quarterback for Cleveland, with Brady Quinn placed on the IR this week and Anderson now injured. And what a difficult spot that Dorsey inherits. No timeouts left for Cleveland, and 67 seconds remain.
Now 320-pound Schaefer, 77, going against about 225-pound Robert Mathis. Pure speed makes fear into the heart of an offensive tackle. They're so afraid of being beat around the edge. They get high, they get soft, and that's how a 225 to 240 pound, in Freeney's case, can steamroll a much bigger man. I mean, we're talking about a man that's
90 pounds heavier.
80, 90 pounds heavier. You don't have the leverage, you don't have the technique. And these guys, these 2 defensive ends, are all about technique. They'll come up, the first 2 steps up the field are speed. 1, 2, but they put that 3rd foot in the ground and head right between the 7 and the 7 in Schaefer's case and drive right back into Anderson's lap.
Dorsey, by the way, has not thrown a pass all season. Well, we talked to Tony Dungy yesterday about that, because it seems so contradictory that a team so small, giving up all that weight at every position defensively, can be so effective. And Dungy got that wry smile, looked at you with those sharp eyes of his and said, I love athletes. And you can be smaller, but if you're faster and quicker and you're athletic, and that's Robert Mathis he's describing, you've got a winner.
Speed wins championships. I know you hear defense wins championships. When it comes right down to it at this level, you want the consistent winners. It's the fast, athletic, speed teams that will get you.
So the Browns, Dorsey, his first serious action of the season, needs to go 65 yards in 67 seconds. Goes deep, incomplete to Braylon Edwards, and Edwards up high, double team. Good defense from Tim Jennings and Melvin Bullock.
Dorsey taking a heck of a shot on his arm as we went to throw that ball. Beautiful job by Jennings redirecting Edwards, getting him off his route. That ball was sent to a spot, but Jennings had rerouted Braylon Edwards. And here's the hit on the arm by Dwight Freeney, right in the right arm of Dorsey. Couldn't follow through.
And Anderson helped off the field. A day of disaster, completing a season that would be described as that. So disappointing here in Cleveland. Embarrassing, in fact, to even the owner of the Browns. Dorsey throws to the sideline. Was he in bounds? Step toe? No. Didn't get both feet in, and that brings up 4th down.
Well, he thought to stop his feet and get them in place, but by the time he thought to get them in place, the feet were out of bounds. Watch it. He thinks to do it. 1-2. But the left foot is out of bounds when he's 1-2ing, so it's really a 1.5.
So 4th and 20 just to maintain possession with 56 seconds on the clock, and Anderson's day, and hopefully not his season, ends down the tunnel to the locker room. And here comes Freeney and Mathis. They use a stunt. That's Mathis chasing. They pick him off. Dorsey into a crowd, and it is a scramble. Who's got it? It's an interception for the Colts. Antoine Bethea, second of the year. And that'll be the final nail into another home defeat. Amazingly, last year 7-1 at home, the Browns, and this year now they're going to be 1-6 after this.
Going for Braylon Edwards. Ball kind of sails inside. Briefly, Edwards has a chance. It almost looks like he's got it. But Bethea will not be denied. He comes down on top. The ball is in the arms of Edwards, and Bethea just snatches it right out away from Edwards.
Well, there's not often in a Colt season in the last 11 years of the Peyton Manning era where you say it was the defense, no question, that won a big game for Indianapolis. No offensive touchdowns. The only TD of the day scored by the defense. The collaboration of Freeney with a forced fumble on Anderson, and Mathis scooping it up and going 37 yards with his first NFL touchdown. The second game of our doubleheader coming up. You'll see Pittsburgh, New England, or Denver in New York against the Jets, or the Chiefs out west in Oakland. So stay tuned. More great action ahead here on CBS.
Hey, remember in 2003 they opened the season 9-6. Colts win. 5 years later, 10-6.
Now Tony Dungy and Romeo Crennel meet at midfield. It's now 8-4 for Dungy's Colts after a 3-4 start. They've won 5 in a row, and it looks as if they've got a rosy path ahead for 3 more wins. Final score, 10-6 Indianapolis. Coming up next, game 2 of the doubleheader, Steelers, Patriots, or Broncos, Jets, or some of you will see Kansas City at Oakland. For Randy Cross, Dick Enberg, so long from rainy Cleveland. We'll go to JB in New York with a Burger King update right after this message.